My husband cheated on me with a stripper, then threw a birthday party for me, where he announced that she was pregnant. His sister helped me expose him to his entire family. My husband, Cole, and I had been married for 8 years. Our relationship started when I was 28, still grieving the loss of my father. Losing a parent leaves an unbearable emptiness, and I was emotionally vulnerable. That's when Cole appeared, an older, charming man who always knew exactly what to say to lift my spirits. At first, our story felt straight out of a cliché, and maybe that's why I fell for him so hard. Back then, he was everything I wanted in a man: reliable, caring, attentive. We went on amazing dates, and he always acted like a gentleman. My mother adored him from the start. When I met his family, there was some initial tension, since we came from different ethnic backgrounds, but over time, they warmed up to me. His sister, Kylie, and I hit it off immediately. We became close, going shopping together, grabbing lunch. She became the sister I had always wished for. We told each other everything, and I felt lucky to have her in my life. Cole and I were still in the honeymoon phase when he suddenly proposed. He caught me completely off guard, throwing a surprise party and inviting all our loved ones. I said yes without hesitation. I still remember the smiles on our family's faces as they told us we were meant for each other. And for a long time, I believed that too. Our wedding went off without a hitch, and we honeymooned in Mexico. But reality hit when we got home. Moving into his house was a challenge. He was overly attached to his stuff and didn't want me changing anything in the living room or bedroom. I tried compromising, suggesting small, gradual changes so he could adjust. Then came a new issue. He hated the size of my wardrobe. Said no sane person needed that many clothes. I wasn't a fashion influencer, but like any woman, I had outfits I wasn't ready to part with. He insisted I downsize, not wanting me to take up half of his closet space. I understood his concerns, so I agreed. I didn't want him feeling cramped in his own home. Instead of keeping my clothes in our bedroom, I stored them in the guest room. Then he had a problem with my fridge magnets. Since childhood, I dreamed of traveling. When I finally got a steady job, I made it my priority to save up and see the world. One of my little traditions was collecting magnets from every place I visited and proudly displaying them on the fridge as reminders of my adventures. Cole found them tacky. Flat out refused to let me put them up. We fought over it a few times, but in the end, he convinced me that it wasn't worth starting our marriage with arguments. Reluctantly, I let it go. For the first 2 years of our marriage, I spent a lot of time with family and friends. Cole, on the other hand, was a homebody, especially since he worked long hours and was always exhausted. I loved socializing, so I had no problem going out alone sometimes. Still, we made sure to have date nights twice a week, which I really appreciated. He had his own hobbies, too. He spent Sundays golfing with his friends, and I was totally fine with that. But in year 3, I started noticing changes. When we got married, we explicitly agreed that we didn't want kids. Then, suddenly, Cole started saying he did want to be a father. He kept talking about how he dreamed of having a child with me. I was shocked. I reminded him that we had made this decision together, but he brushed it off, saying he imagined me with a baby bump. His words unsettled me. A few times, he even insisted on skipping contraception, which terrified me. I started feeling like he was trying to get me pregnant against my will. I couldn't understand his sudden shift. Just a year ago, he loved the idea of a child-free life. Now, he wouldn't drop the subject. He kept saying that once I got pregnant and quit my job, our marriage would be perfect. That thought horrified me. I secretly went on birth control after consulting my doctor. Thankfully, it worked. I didn't get pregnant. Meanwhile, Cole's behavior got even stranger. He started questioning who I was spending time with. where I was going when I went out with friends. Then he started commenting on my outfits, which confused me because I always dressed modestly. He began suggesting I wear more conservative clothes, even if I was just wearing a simple blouse and blazer. He claimed he was just worried about what other women would think when they saw me. At first, I ignored it. Then he became more demanding. Every time I went out, he insisted I change. It made me uncomfortable. I started wondering what the hell was happening to our marriage. Then, a few weeks later, I noticed some of my favorite clothes had disappeared from my closet. At first, I thought I was imagining things. I tore the house apart looking for them. When I asked Cole, he swore he had no idea. Then, while searching the garage, I stumbled upon an empty box stuffed with my missing clothes. I was furious. I confronted him, demanding an explanation. At first, he denied everything. But when I pointed out that we were the only two people in the house, he couldn't escape responsibility. After a fight, he finally admitted it. He had hidden my clothes so I wouldn't wear them out with my friends. I was stunned. He tried justifying it, saying he wanted to protect my reputation because women who dressed like that were often seen as easy or untrustworthy. I lost it. I screamed at him, telling him he had no right to control what I wore. I reminded him that in 3 years of marriage, I had never been unfaithful. So why the hell did he care so much about what other men thought? I made it very clear that no sane partner should act like this. He apologized. And since it was the first major red flag in our marriage, I let it slide. But it only got worse. I started noticing messages from my friends and family disappearing from my phone. For example, if I made plans with my mom for lunch in a few days, I'd go back to check the messages, only to find nothing. It was confusing. At first, I thought my phone was glitching. I updated it, hoping to fix the issue. Then, one of my friends called to invite me to a small gathering. She said she'd send me an invite soon. I never got it. Days later, she called again, asking why I hadn't responded. I told her I never got a message. At her party that weekend, she showed me her phone. There it was. She had sent me the invite. That's when I knew something was very wrong. I started to suspect my phone was hacked, so I bought a new one. I didn't tell Cole. That night, I woke up thirsty and went to the kitchen for water. And that's when I caught him, sitting in the living room, in the dark, holding both my phones. It took me a few seconds to adjust to the dim light, but when I did, I saw him scrolling through my messages. I was shocked. "What the hell are you doing?" I demanded. He flinched, caught red-handed. Then, he started babbling, saying I was the untrustworthy one because I had secretly bought a new phone. I stood there, stunned, trying to process what was happening. I calmly explained that he already knew my old phone had issues, that I had bought a new one but hadn't set it up yet. Then, I asked again, "Why were you going through my messages in the middle of the night?" He stammered, claiming he was just checking for issues. That's when it hit me. Cole was the one deleting my messages. And that was just the beginning of his downfall. I felt like my whole body had gone numb. The realization that Cole had been deliberately isolating me from my friends and family sent a cold wave of fury through me. I stared at him, his face shifting between guilt and desperation, as if he was scrambling to find a way to justify what he had done. "You were deleting my messages," I said, my voice eerily calm. Cole shook his head. "That's ridiculous. Why would I? Stop lying." I cut him off, gripping the edge of the table to steady myself. "You've been controlling what I wear, where I go, who I talk to, and now you've been cutting me off from people behind my back." He looked away, his jaw tightening. "I just wanted to spend more time with you," he finally muttered. "I thought if you weren't distracted by—" "Oh my God," I whispered, barely able to contain my anger. "You're insane." I turned on my heel and walked straight to our bedroom, grabbing the nearest bag and stuffing it with clothes. Cole followed after me. "Wait, where are you going?" I didn't answer. I threw in my essentials, zipped the bag up, and slung it over my shoulder. He grabbed my wrist. "Babe, please! I know this looks bad, but I love you. I was scared of losing you." I yanked my arm free and glared at him. "You already lost me." Without another word, I stormed past him, grabbed my car keys, and left. I drove straight to my mother's house, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Over the next few days, Cole bombarded me with messages and calls. They ranged from desperate apologies to angry accusations, claiming I was the one who betrayed him by walking out. But I ignored him. Instead, I spent hours talking with Kylie. She was furious when I told her what had happened, and for the first time, she admitted that she, too, had noticed something off about her brother lately. Then, 2 days later, she called me with something that made my blood run cold. "Listen," she said, her voice tight. "I think Cole's been cheating on you." I felt my stomach drop. "What?" Kylie sighed heavily. "There's this girl. I've seen her going in and out of his house. At first, I thought maybe it was just a friend, but—" She hesitated. "She's been there every single day since you left." I felt dizzy. I wanted to believe there was another explanation, but deep down, I already knew the truth. I swallowed hard. "Did you get pictures?" She hesitated. "I did." I closed my eyes, my chest tightening. "Send them to me." A minute later, my phone pinged. I opened the images, and my breath caught in my throat. A young blonde woman, walking casually into my house. Over, and over, and over. I gritted my teeth and exhaled shakily. "Who the hell is she?" "That's what I'm trying to find out," Kylie said. "But I need more time. Do not say anything to Cole yet. Let's get all the proof first." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Okay." That night, I barely slept. My mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. Was this why Cole had suddenly become so possessive? Had he been cheating before I left? Or was this some spur-of-the-moment thing? Either way, I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just about my marriage anymore. It was about revenge. Kylie went full detective mode. Within a day, she had the girl's name, Georgina. And within a week, she had something even better, hard evidence that this woman wasn't just some random fling. Georgina was 23. She had a criminal record. Kylie found out she had warrants in another state for car theft and fraud. And my husband had been shacking up with her? I almost laughed. This was going to be too easy. We decided to hit him where it hurt, the one thing he had always cared about, his reputation. And the perfect opportunity? My birthday party. Kylie and I met with Cole's parents privately. We laid everything out. The cheating, the manipulation, everything. His mother was horrified. His father? Livid. "I knew something was off with him lately," his dad muttered, rubbing his temples. "That idiot." Then, Kylie dropped the final bombshell. "He got Georgina pregnant." Silence. Then his mother gasped. His father clenched his jaw. And I? I smiled. Because I knew exactly what was coming next. A few days later, Cole's parents called him. They insisted he throw me a big birthday party so the whole family could come together. Cole hesitated, probably nervous, but his father insisted. And Cole always obeyed his father. He agreed. The party was set. I was going to destroy him in front of everyone. The day of the party, I walked into my former house like I still owned the place. Cole greeted me awkwardly. The house was barely decorated, some half-deflated balloons, a sad-looking cake, and a few pizzas. It looked more like a frat house than a birthday celebration. His parents arrived, followed by Kylie. We all played along, pretending nothing was wrong. Then, right when everyone had gathered around for the cake, Cole cleared his throat. "I have an announcement," he said dramatically. I leaned back, smirking. "Over the past few months," he continued, "I've realized that I was trapped in a toxic marriage." I almost choked on my drink. "I've finally found happiness," he went on. "And I want to introduce you all to someone very special." He gestured toward the doorway, and in walked Georgina. She was smirking, standing proudly next to him. Then, Cole dropped his final bomb. "She's pregnant." Silence. Then, before I could even react, my mother threw her drink in his face. The entire room exploded. His father tore into him. His mother started crying. And Kylie? She looked at me and nodded. It was time. I walked up to Cole, pulled out an envelope from my purse, and slammed it against his chest. His eyes widened. "What's this?" "Divorce papers," I said sweetly. "You just admitted to cheating in front of everyone, which means I get everything." His face turned white. I turned on my heel, my mother and Kylie right behind me. As we walked out the door, I heard Cole's father roaring at him. And it was the most satisfying sound I had ever heard. As I stepped outside, the cold night air filled my lungs, feeling like the first real breath I had taken in months. Kylie was grinning ear to ear. "That was epic." My mother, still fuming, shook her head. "That disgrace of a man. I can't believe I ever thought he was good for you." I didn't say anything. I was too busy soaking in the feeling of absolute victory. Behind us, shouting erupted from inside the house. "You got her pregnant?" That was Cole's father. "Dad, listen. Don't you dare call me that right now, you embarrassment." I exchanged a look with Kylie. "Think they'll actually disown him?" Kylie smirked. "Oh, for sure. They hate public humiliation more than anything. And now that he's saddled with a pregnant ex-stripper with a criminal record, they'll never forgive him for this." I almost felt bad for him. Almost. The next few weeks were a roller coaster. Cole tried everything: calls, texts, voicemails, even showing up at my mom's house, begging to talk. He swung wildly between pleading with me to come back and lashing out, accusing me of ruining his life. I ignored him. Meanwhile, my lawyer and I made sure that I got my fair share of everything in the divorce. Cole's father, still furious, refused to help him financially anymore. That meant Cole was screwed. His perfect new life with Georgina? Yeah, that crashed and burned real fast. Turned out Georgina wasn't so sure the baby was his. And when a paternity test proved it wasn't, she packed up and vanished, leaving Cole with nothing. No wife. No money. No baby. And absolutely no one left in his corner. Kylie texted me when it all went down. "He's done. Completely broke. Dad's cutting him out of the will. Mom won't even answer his calls. He tried asking me for money. Can you believe that?" Faced with tears of joy, I could. It was pathetic. And it was exactly what he deserved. A few months later, the divorce was finalized. I walked out of the courthouse free. I expected to feel sad, to mourn the life I thought I'd have. But all I felt was relief. That night, Kylie and I went out to celebrate. We drank, we danced, we laughed. And for the first time in years, I truly felt like myself again. Cole? I heard through the grapevine that he moved out of state, trying to start over somewhere new. Good for him. I hope he stays there. As for me, I've never been happier. No husband. No drama. Just me, living my best life.